I'm sorry.
No, I understand.
Hello everyone, welcome to What If Deku Was Rejected by Uraraka and Focused on Improving Instead movie. Before we start, please go support HectorJrHernandez for writing that awesome fanfic. This is the translated version I made. There will be some mistaken character's gender, but of course Deku is a male. Midoriya, a nerdy boy who was trying to conquer Uraraka, the most popular girl at UA, who on the last day of first year's classes was rejected by her in a cruel way, so he decides to forget her in the second year where Uraraka begins to see him in a different way. Now she will try to conquer him. Explanations. 1. UA that Quirk. 2. In the first chapter they will be on the last day of first year, then everything will develop in the second. 3. Seiya will be Izuku's adoptive sister. 4. Uraraka will have a love rival who will be from Class B. 5. The ship will be Izuacha. Season 1 Chapter 1. Rejection. It was a great day at UA, everyone was happy, finally the exams, presentations, protectors and annoying teachers were over, since it was the last day of classes, but focusing on a specific classroom, you could see a very nervous green-haired boy sitting at his desk playing with his fingers. Why was he so nervous? Well, it was easy to confess to one of the most popular girls in school, Uraraka Achako, who had already rejected him 4 times, but as they say, there's no such thing as a bad fifth. The green-haired boy was thinking about how he should confess his love to the brunette, since he didn't want it to happen like the last few times. I'm too lazy to mention all the times he was rejected. You can use as an example when she rejected your friend, but he was taken out of his thoughts by a green-haired girl. Izuku, what are you thinking about so much? He asked, sitting on the desk next to him. Midoriya. Oh Seiya, don't worry about anything, blushing, looking at the other side. Seiya. You're not fooling me, she answered, making the green-haired boy turn around. You're thinking about how to tell on Achako again, right, she said, seeing how the green-haired boy looked down. Hey, Izuku, she's going to reject you again, how many times is that? 3, right? He asked. Midoriya. No, that's the 4th time he's rejected me, he said, surprising Seiya. Seiya. 4 times, Izuku said, seeing him nervous. I say don't try it anymore, making the green-haired boy raise his head, but I know you won't listen to me, and you'll do it anyway, giving a smile, so good luck Izuku. Midoriya. Thanks little sister, he said, showing a smile. Oh Seiya, before I forget, making the green-haired girl stop. Mom said we have to go to the plaza to buy some things. Seiya. I didn't remember, he laughed nervously, then I'll wait for you at the entrance to go together, receiving a nod from the green-haired man and then leaving. Midoriya. Okay Izuku, don't get nervous, you already rehearsed it in front of the mirror, he thought, and then looked in his backpack. Maybe this time she'll say yes, taking out what he was looking for. Yes, I have the box of mochi, what she likes the most, seeing the box decorated with a red bow. I have everything ready, he smiled, and then saw how the classroom door was opened and showed a guy who looked like a drug addict. Izawa. Brats, I just wanted to say that I'm glad you're leaving because I couldn't stand you anymore, with a tired tone, surprising everyone, so go away. I don't want to see you anymore, he said, leaving the classroom, leaving all his students silent and still seated. Enki. We love you too, Professor Izawa, he said when he saw him leave. Midoriya. Well Izuku, it's your time to shine, he thought while putting away his things, except the box of matchas. Well there it is, he thought when he saw her leave. Then Izuku took his things and grabbed the box of matchas and left the classroom quickly. Seiya saw that and just shook her head in denial because she had the feeling that it would be remade. Back with Izuku, he was a few meters away from Uraraka, who was talking to Momo. Once she separated from Uraraka, she took the opportunity to hurry and stand next to her to talk to her. Midoriya. Uraraka spoke nervously, making the brunette stand up and turn to look at him. Uraraka. Midoriya again, she said, a little tired. Midoriya. Just wanted to tell you, she said nervously, and then sighed to calm down. I just wanted to tell you that if you wanted to be my girlfriend, she said, seeing her still without taking out the box of matchas. Uraraka. Hey Midoriya, she said while putting her hand to her head, understand it once and for all, I don't like you. I don't see you as anything more than just a classmate because you're not my friend, she said, making the green-haired boy sad, so don't pretend to me that you understand more, turning around to start walking. Midoriya. I knew it, giving a small smile as he watched her leave. Seiya was right, I think it's better to forget about her once and for all, he said, and then looked at the box of mochi. I was an idiot to think that this time she could be my girlfriend, and then threw the box on the floor. It's better to go with Seiya before it gets later, to start walking to the exit. But what Deku didn't know is that a girl with orange hair and green eyes saw everything that had happened before. The girl was the president of Class B at Tsuka Kendo. This girl was in love with the green-haired boy, so she walked and took the box of matchas that was on the floor and then saw how the aforementioned left. Kendo. Don't worry, Midoriya, giving a smile, I'll help you forget her, she said, blushing as she walked. Izuku walked sadly towards his sister who looked at him worriedly. When he arrived with her, Seiya could only hug him. Seiya. Calm down Izuku while hugging him harder. Let's go buy things, yeah well separating and smiling. Midoriya. Why yes he said dejectedly. Seiya. What do you think if we go for ice cream after buying things? Starting to walk, followed by Izuku. Midoriya. I think it's fine Seiya giving a small smile. So the two of them walked to the market to buy things. On the way, Seiya tried to cheer Izuku up but little by little she recovered. Once they finished shopping, they went to get the ice cream and headed home. Once they arrived, Seiya opened the door. Seiya. We're home, Mom. She spoke loudly and then took off her shoes and put on her slippers and Izuku did the same. Inko. How was your last day? She said with a smile, I see you brought what I asked for seeing the bags you were carrying. Midoriya. Yes, Mom, we'll bring everything taking the bags to the kitchen. Inko. Tell me Seiya she spoke capturing the girl's attention did he say it again right? She asked seeing how Seiya. Seiya. Yes, Mom told her again she sighed sadly, but this was the last one. Inko. The last one? I asked without understanding. Seiya. Yes, he said he wasn't going to try to conquer her anymore and now he would forget her she said and then smiled forgetting that, do you want me to help you cook? Inko. Okay, let's go she smiled and they walked to the kitchen together. Minutes passed and Inko and Seiya were already finishing cooking katsudon. Izuku was in his room a little sad because of what Uraraka told him, but before Seiya yelled at Izuku to come down to eat, there was a knock on the door and when he opened it, he got a big surprise. Hello Seiya, how are you? A female voice spoke. Seiya. Hello. Season 1 Chapter 2. I will help you forget her, nomination again. Hello Seiya, how are you? The female voice spoke with a smile. Seiya. Hello Itsuka happy to then hug her being reciprocated I'm fine and you separating from the hug. Hendo. Very well I smile looking at the green-haired girl. Inko. Seiya daughter, who's at the door? Shouted asked from the kitchen. Seiya was Itsuka mama. Inko. Itsuka she said as she walked towards the door welcome, please come in showing a smile lunch is almost ready, so sit down and I'll call you as she returned to the kitchen. Seiya. Come in, Itsuku stepping aside as she passed by come, let's go to the living room. Hendo. Thank you Seiya while walking behind her. Seiya. And tell me, what brings you here? She asked with a smile. Hendo. I just came to say hello, Seiya he answered, showing a smile. Seiya. Come on Itsuka she said as she settled in better we've known each other since we were kids and I know you're lying making Kendo lower her head, so tell me the truth. Hendo sighing in defeat I'm here for Izuku. Seiya. I imagine she said showing a smile I think you already know what happened today right? Hendo. Yes she said discouraged I saw when Uraraka rejected it while clenching her fists a little. Seiya. So you see looking at the floor dejectedly. Hendo. Yes too he said while searching for something in his bag, I brought the box of matchas that Izuku would give him showing the box he had in his hands. Seiya. It can't be she said with her hand on her face. Hendo. What's wrong Seiya? I asked seeing how the girl was lamenting. Seiya. That box of matcha she said as she stood up I'll be right back as she walked towards a door. Hendo. And now what happened? She asked herself confused looking at the door. Inko. The food is ready where is Seiya? She asked when she saw Kendo. Hendo. She went through that door, Mrs. Inko he said, pointing at the door. Inko. Oh okay when he arrives tell him that the food is ready with a smile returning to the dining room. On the other side of the house. In a room, Izuku was lying on his bed while he looked at the ceiling, discouraged, remembering how Uraraka had rejected him. Midoriya. It will be difficult to forget her he sighed discouraged because I had to fall in love with her, knowing so many why did it have to be her lamenting, but in that his door suddenly opens hate Seiya why don't you, but he stopped when he saw his sister with her eyes lowered buck, now what did I do to make her angry, he thought with fear. Seiya. Midoriya Izuku she said with a gloomy voice that made Izuku feel true terror can you explain to me while walking slowly towards him, why the hell standing in front of a scared Izuku you threw away the box of matchas that cost you so much and also forced me to walk for 4 hours looking up at Izuku annoyed. Midoriya. Sorry scared while covering himself with a pillow. Seiya. No forgiveness she said snatching the pillow while hitting him with it tell me why you did it. Midoriya. I'm really sorry he said curled up in a ball I didn't realize he said making Seiya leave him, but wait how do you know I threw the box of matchas he said looking at her. Seiya. Itsuka told me Izuku she said surprising the boy. Midoriya. Did Itsuka see me? He asked nervously. Seiya. Yes Izuku, she saw everything she said sitting on Izuku's bed, you know something Izuku she said, calling the attention of the named I think you should give Itsuka a chance, while she saw him amazed at this one. Midoriya. What? He asked confused Itsuka. Seiya. Yes, Izuku he said, then smiled. You know that since you were children, she always liked you he said, making Izuku blush, and I think she would be a good girl for you. Midoriya. But I just see her as a friend he said nervously. Seiya. Maybe you only see her as a friend now she said and then smiled, but if you spend more time with her maybe and just maybe she will be something more for you. Midoriya. But I would feel bad he said, lowering his head. Seiya. Why? She asked looking at her brother. Midoriya. It would be like using her he said sadly, and I don't want that for her. Seiya. Don't see it that way she said to take Izuku's shoulder see it as an opportunity to forget about Ichako and give Itsuka a chance, that's all. Midoriya. I think you're right showing a smile. Seiya. Let's go downstairs getting out of bed leaving Itsuka alone in the living room she said walking towards the door. Midoriya. Is Itsuka here? Seiya. If I didn't tell you she said seeing him shake his head well that doesn't matter let's go while walking down the hallway being followed by Izuku until they reached the living room. Hendo. Oh Seiya, your mother said that she stopped when she saw Izuku enter and then started to blush here is this is the food nervous well she saw Izuku hello Izuku she greeted with a smile. Midoriya hello Itsuka he said nervously let's eat as he walked to the dining room with both girls. Inko. Sit down, the food is ready she said with a smile while serving. Once Inko finished serving, they began to eat, where they talked about trivial things between laughter, games, and some jokes that took place at the Midoriya table. They finished and then picked up their dishes and washed them. Hendo. I think I'm leaving, Mrs. Inko. Inko. You're leaving now he said a little sadly. Hendo. Yes, I have some things to do showing a smile, but I promise to come back. Inko. It's okay smiled Izuku calling the green-haired boy's attention you can accompany Itsuka to her house she said, making Kendo blush slightly. Hendo. And no tea there's a should she said nervously. Inko. I insist, daughter, it's dangerous for you to be alone on the street. Hendo. Oh okay, that's fine he said as he started walking see you Mrs. Inko, Seiya. Both. See you later they said goodbye with a smile. Once outside there was a somewhat uncomfortable silence between the two until the red-haired girl decided to break it. Hendo. Izuku she said making him turn to look at her I wanted to tell you that I saw you today with Uraraka she said, embarrassed it wasn't my intention, but looking into his eyes, I want you to take me into account she said, surprising him maybe I'm not like Uraraka, but I want to help you and be with you, she said while playing with her fingers, I want to help you forget her she said blushing. Izuku. I think it's better to follow Seiya's advice and give it a chance he thought while smiling, I would love for you to try Itsuka he said surprising her. Hendo. Are you serious? She said, seeing him nod so too tomorrow, can we have a date? She asked nervously. Midoriya. Sure, no problem he smiled tomorrow at 2 o'clock, I'll pick you up he said, blushing to Kendo oh look, we're here. Hendo. It's true he said looking at his house well goodbye see you tomorrow Izuku he said and then gave him a kiss on the cheeky is this goodbye running with his face red as a tomato leaving Izuku turned into stone. Izuku. I think we started well he said touching his cheek and then started walking it's time to start forgetting you Uraraka he said while looking at the sky, it's for my own good. Chapter 3. Appointment. $1 I don't have anyone he goes to cry in a corner. 2 it would be the black color. 3 would be the color I like them all. 4 I don't know how to answer that I think it would depend on the girl I'm with. 5 my favorite drawing is this one. It's from Rodrigo Vargas himself. I recommend it if you need a cover or a special drawing, he's the best and his fic is very interesting. 6 I'm 19 years old, I know I'm old. 7 they would be my family, but specifically my younger sister and my mother. I would give everything for them to be happy. 8 well, where do I start or do I already know? 1 well I am tall, I am 1.79, I have dark skin, black hair and dark brown eyes, I am about to enter university and work, I am from Tijuana BC Mexico, I am funny, I like to make friends, and sometimes I get bored very quickly and I despair when I have nothing to do. 2 I have only been kicked out of a school I attended in high school, specifically a Seside, for failing all my subjects. 3 when I was 13 years old I joined a gang near my house called Sick, where for the first time I started using drugs like marijuana and a really toxic one, which was inhaling paint from a paint can. 4 when I was in secondary school, second year, my group and I started selling marijuana inside the school. I want to clarify that I am not proud of any of this, and when we ran out we sold the contents of the tea packets, passing it off as marijuana. 5 I started writing on Wattpad because some friends encouraged me to do so, and the ideas remained. At first I didn't feel confident, since I didn't know how to follow characters' dialogues and give a plot, so I started reading a lot of fics from different writers to get an idea. 9 no, I'm not going to nominate anyone. TMP1 Chapter 3. Date. Izuku walked towards his home with his hand on his cheek while he watched the sunset. Midoriya. Damn. I have to hurry or else mom and Sai will kill me, starting to run through the streets until he reaches his home and opens the door. Once inside he announced his arrival and walked to his room where he found Sai waiting for him sitting on her bed. Midoriya. And now what did I do? He said looking at Sayu, who just shook her head. Sayu. I just want to know, what did you do with Itsuka? She asked, making Izuku blush slightly. Did you ask her out? With a mischievous look. Midoriya. This why yes, he said so that Sayu would scream. He grabbed him by the arm and sat him down next to him. Sayu. Tell me, she said while jumping on the bed, how did it happen? Did you ask her? Or did she ask you out? Midoriya. Well, she was the one who asked me out, he said, making Sayu scream. Stop screaming, you'll make me deaf. A little annoyed looking at his sister, who remained silent, and that was when I left her at her house. She told me that she was willing to help me forget about Uraraka, he said showing a smile, and so I accepted. Sayu. I'm glad you followed the advice, showing a smile, so I'll help you choose clothes for your date. Getting up from the bed and walking to Izuku's closet. Midoriya. Yes, he said smiling and then sought Sayu in his closet. No wait, Sayu. The next day. Izuku. Looking at the clock, it's about time I go get Kendo for the date, he thought, and then went to Kendo's house. Already at Kendo Izuku's house, he knocks on the door, which the aforementioned person opens. Kendo. Oh hello, Izuku blushing seeing the green-haired man standing on his. Izuku. Hello, Itsuka smiling at her, which makes her blush a little more. So where would you like to go? Kendo. Well, what do you think about going out to eat? Nervously while smiling. Midoriya. Sure, sounds good to me. He says happily. Already in the mall, Izuku sees a cheap restaurant and they decide to go there. They looked for a table and sat down. Midoriya. Well, what do you want to eat? He asks the orange-haired girl. Kendo. I would like a Caesar salad and an orange juice to drink. And what are you going to order? Looking at the green-haired boy while smiling. Midoriya. Well, I'll order some katsudon for myself. They already ordered their food once and then started talking about trivial things between laughter and blushes on both sides. After finishing eating, they left the restaurant and headed to the park near the plaza. Midoriya. Do you want to go eat ice cream? Kendo. Yes. Saying happily as they walk to the ice cream stand. Midoriya. Well, what ice cream do you want? He says to the girl. Kendo. I don't know, I think vanilla. Izuku. Okay, as he heads towards the vendor. Well sir, one chocolate, one for me and one vanilla, one for her. Ice cream vendor. Okay, grab the ice creams, one for you and one for your girlfriend. Izuku started to turn ultra red as if it were a volcano erupting because of what the gentleman said. Midoriya. Kendo. Girlfriend. They thought at the same time. Izuku. And no, she's not my girlfriend, saying super blushed. Ice cream vendor. Oh excuse me. Haha. Midoriya. It's okay, nothing's wrong. Once they had eaten their ice cream, they went to the train station while talking about how much fun they had had during their date. Kendo. Well, you can leave me here now, thanks for the food. Smiling at him. Izuku. Wait, I'll go with you, saying it a little shyly. Kendo. Blushing and embarrassed by the boy's request. Oh okay. Both boys were in a comfortable silence on the train. Once they arrived at their destination, they began to talk until they arrived at the girl's house, who said goodbye with a kiss on the cheek, leaving an embarrassed Izuku. Midoriya. I think this is working, he smiled as he walked home. He walked calmly towards his house. Once he arrived, as always he announced his arrival, but this was different because after that he was intercepted by Sayu, who took him to her room and closed the door. Midoriya. Sayu, he said a little annoyed. Why this habit of pulling me or throwing me? Well, he got up. Can't you talk to me? He asked looking at the green-haired girl. Sayu. I'm sorry, she said as she sat on her bed, but tell me, how did it go? She asked seeing that Izuku blushed. Did my advice help you? Midoriya. It went well, he said sitting next to her. Sayu. Just okay? I asked looking at the green-haired boy. Midoriya. Well. It went very well, I had a lot of fun, he smiled looking at the floor. Itsuka is great. Sayu. It seems that Itsuka is moving forward, she thought, looking at her brother. I hope he forgets her soon, she thought, seeing Izuku smile. Well, it's time to go to dinner, she said, getting up from her bed and walking to the door. Midoriya. You're right, walking behind her. Time skip. 2.5 months later. The time to start classes had already passed. Izuku during that time dedicated himself to training to strengthen himself. Already finishing his daily routine, he went home and already being in his bed. Izuku. Well, classes start tomorrow, and suddenly he remembers what happened with Achako. Because I can't forget you, he said, looking at the ceiling. After so many dates I had with Itsuka, I can't get you out of my head, he said resignedly, but since, maybe it's necessary to live a lie and think that I don't like you anymore, he said, a little discouraged, and try to love Itsuka, just to be able to forget you, Uraraka Achako, he said, and then fell into a deep sleep. DMP1 Chapter 4. Start of classes. It was already day and Izuku was still sleeping peacefully if it weren't for his sister's screams on the other side of his door, being forced to get up from his beloved bed. Once he got out of bed, he went for his uniform and entered his bathroom. Once he was ready, he went out towards the dining room. Midoriya. Good morning, he smiled, looking at the green-haired women at the table. Both. Good morning, Izuku's son, smiling at the green-haired boy who sat at the table. Sai. Are you ready, Izuku? She asked her brother excitedly. Midoriya. Yes, I'm ready, he smiled. Once they finished eating, they said goodbye to their mother to leave for school, where upon arriving Izuku caught the attention of some girls. Already in the classroom starting classes, Izuku noticed his new classmates. They were all the same, except for a red-haired boy. Izawa. Well, brats, starting today you'll have a new partner. He opens the door, letting the boy in. Introduce yourself. What are you waiting for? An honorable mention or something? Good morning, I'm your new partner, my name is Ejiro Kirishima, he says nervously, bowing. All. Welcome. Kirishima. Thank you. Izawa. Well, enough talking and let's start the class, sitting at the desk. Midoriya. Hey Tsuyu, he spoke in a low voice, looking at his sister Tsuyu. He said, seeing that she was somewhat blushing, looking at a specific place. What is she looking at? He thought and then saw where she was looking and was surprised. That's how I wanted to grab you, pig. And so for a good while of classes of different subjects such as mathematics, English, literature, etc. lunchtime arrives. Kendo. Izuku. Raising his hand to get the green-haired boy's attention. Midoriya. What's wrong, Kendo? He asked as he walked towards her. Kendo. No, nothing, I just wanted to ask you if you wanted to go to lunch together, she smiled, blushing at the proposal he made. Midoriya. Sure, why not? Giving him a smile. Izuku, as he had exercised making his muscles stand out, the girls of the cafeteria were looking at him for the physique that the green-haired boy had, including a certain brunette. While they were having lunch they were chatting, laughing together, something that did not go unnoticed by a pink-haired girl, because the two boys had become closer. Returning to the classroom, the boy bumps into someone and is surprised to see who it is. Uraraka. Oh hello, Midoriya saying, blushing since the boy had become more attractive. Midoriya. Hello Uraraka, he said sadly, sorry, I didn't pay attention to where I was going, scratching the back of his neck. Uraraka. Don't worry, let's go to the living room, she said, starting to walk. Midoriya. Oh okay, nervously walking next to her. Arriving at the classroom, the two together cause jealousy to an orange-haired girl, and the boy realizes that and asks her. Midoriya. What's wrong, Kendo? He asked, looking at the girl. Kendo. No, nothing, everything is fine, faking a smile. I'd better go to my classroom, he said as he walked out of the green-haired boy's classroom. See you at the exit, he smiled and then said. Midoriya. Okay, I guess. The boy goes to his respective seat. Already finishing the classes, the two boys go home together, the green-haired one accompanying the orange-haired girl, and on the other street, there was a pink-haired girl watching what the boys did and takes a picture of them already arriving near the Kendo house. Kendo. Okay Izu, I'm going this way, saying goodbye to the boy with a kiss on the cheek. Midoriya. Huh. Why did he do that? The boy thought. Izuku, blushing 1,000 times, says would you like to go out with me tomorrow? Kendo. Of course. What time? I ask excitedly. Midoriya. What do you think if I pick you up tomorrow at 4 o'clock? Seeing the girl who showed a big smile. Kendo. It's okay, he says, happily hugging the boy. Izuku went home thinking about what happened until his mother realized. Inko. Son, are you okay? She asked worriedly. Sai. Izuku, you seem distracted, looking at him curiously. Inko. Tell me, son, is it for a girl? Showing a mischievous look. Midoriya. And no. Why do you ask? Nervous and blushing. Sai. Tell me, who is Itsuka? She said, smiling at her brother's reaction. Inko. Little Itsuka. She asked in surprise. Midoriya. And no, what are you talking about? Blushing. Sai. If you say so, she smiled mischievously. Midoriya. Oh right, Sai, calling the girl's attention. Sai. What's wrong? She asked while looking at Izuku, who had a mischievous smile. Midoriya. What were you doing looking at the new boy? He asked, making Sai blush. Do you like him? He said so. His sister placed her hands on his face. Sai. I don't know what you're talking about, she said nervously. Midoriya. Come on, tell me, he said while moving Tsuyu from one place to another. Do you like Kirishima? He asked, seeing how Tsuyu looked down. Tsuyu. Sighing in defeat, I look at Izuku maybe, so she smiled nervously. I thought he was cute, she said, blushing. Midoriya. I'm happy for you, he smiled and then put on a serious face, but I'll have to pass several tests to be with you, he said, and then hugged her. Not just anyone can be with my little sister. Tsuyu. Haha, and then me too, she said so that Izuku would distance himself a little. I won't let any girl stay with my little brother, she said seriously. Even if I like Itsuka, she will also have to earn my approval, she said to hug Izuku. Izuku headed to his room after their conversation and eating to be able to sleep until a thought crossed his mind. Were you thinking about Itsuka? What his sister had said reverberated in his head for a long time. Midoriya. Maybe if I think about Itsuka, he smiled as he closed his eyes. DMP1 Chapter 5. Jealousy. The next day at school. A group of girls talking brought up a topic for conversation. Mina. Did you see that it seems that Kendo is dating Midoriya? She asked with a small smile. All? What? They shouted in surprise. Mina. Mina takes out her cell phone and shows the photo she took yesterday to the boys. Did you see? Did you see? Toru. Well, I don't blame her. Midoriya now has a movie body, mischievous laugh. Mina. Uraraka, what do you think? Turning to look at the brunette. Uraraka. Huh. Me. With an annoyed look. Mina. What's wrong, Uraraka? Don't tell me you're jealous of him. After you've rejected him 4 times as he approached her. Uraraka. What? No. She quickly excused herself. Actually, there were 5 of them in a low voice. Hey girls, what are you talking about? As she approached the group of friends. Girls. Hello Tsuyu, they smiled when they saw the green-haired girl arrive. Tsuyu. And what are you talking about? She asked with a smile. Toru, from your brother, she said while smiling carefree. Girls. Toru and Tsuyu. Toru. They shouted, a little annoyed. Toru. What? After all, someone had to say it, right? Looking at the others. Tsuyu. About my brother, huh, she said with a side smile. And what exactly did they say? She asked curiously. Mina. Well, I'm telling you this with respect, said the pink-haired girl, a little nervous, but we're talking about how hot she is, she said while blushing, and we have a question. Tsuyu. Tell me, smiling as she took out her notebooks. Mina. Are Midoriya and Kendo dating? Tsuyu. Yes, since we went on vacation, she commented with a smile, and I think it won't be long before they become boyfriend and girlfriend, she said, making a brunette feel bad. What was the brunette feeling? Jealousy. At lunchtime, Izuku and Kendo go to lunch together and as always, they chat and laugh together, which annoys a brunette who was watching from afar. Uraraka. What is this I feel? Is it like my heart is being squeezed? The girl thought as she clenched her fists. Tsuyu. Is something wrong, Ichako? I asked, seeing the face of the machi lover. Uraraka. And nothing, ts, Tsuyu, nervous, trying to smile. When it was time to return to the living room, Uraraka went to look for Midoriya. Izuku. Oh hello Uraraka, greeting with a smile. Uraraka. Hello Midoriya, I came to ask if you wanted to go out with me on Saturday, she asked, blushing. Izuku. Sure. Why not? Nervous and blushing. Uraraka. Okay. What time? She asked excitedly. Izuku. What do you think if I pick you up at your house at 3 o'clock? Uraraka. Okay, I'll wait for you. Already in the afternoon around 3:30, Izuku was preparing for his appointment with Kendo. Izuku. What should I wear? Where did he take her? To eat? No, maybe to the movies. No, I know, we'll go to the park, Izuku thought while getting ready. Izuku had already left his house after lunch to go to Kendo's house, and his mother opened the door. Kendo, mom. Oh hello Izuku, what can I help you with? She greeted with a smile. Midoriya. He came to pick up his daughter, smiling with a small blush. Kendo, mom. Oh I see, let me call her. Daughter, come down, Izuku is here. Kendo. Going down the stairs. Hello Izuku, I'm coming, I'm going to get ready, give me about 5 minutes if you want, come in. Midoriya. A-okay, nervous as he entered. When Kendo enlisted and went down. Kendo. Bye mom, I'll be back in a bit. Kendo, mom. Understood, have fun. Izuku saw a cotton candy machine in the park and decided to go buy one with Kendo. On the other side, a certain brunette was looking at them with disgust. Was that girl jealous of our green-haired protagonist? It was already getting dark and Izuku decided to accompany Kendo to his house. Izuku arrived at Kendo's house. Kendo. Well, see you tomorrow Izuku. Thank you for this day. I smiled, blushing. Midoriya. It's nothing, haha, see you tomorrow, saying goodbye with a kiss on the cheek. After that he decided to go to the station to go home, where he meets a girl with brown hair. Midoriya. Uraraka. Miranda Olachika. Uraraka. Midoriya. Hello, what are you doing here? She asked a little nervously. Midoriya. Nothing, I was here at the station to catch a subway and go home. Uraraka. Oh I see remember Saturday he blushing showing a smile. Midoriya. Oh okay. Could you give me your address so I can pick you up at your house? Nervous and blushing. Uraraka. Of course. Here you go he hands her a paper with her information including her phone number. Midoriya. Thank you, my train has arrived. Bye, see you tomorrow. He waved goodbye. Uraraka. See you later. Repeating the same action. The green-haired man boarded the train with his headphones on while he looked out the window while he saw the lights of the city. Midoriya. Now that I think about it, why has Uraraka been kind to me? He thought while looking at the moon she told me not to speak to her anymore he thought, while remembering that day anyway, my decision won't change to form a smile, I will forget you no matter what happens. A lot of feeling afterwards. We met in the 2 classroom. Everyone was talking or making a mess since they had free time, but we focused on the green-haired brothers. Midoriya. Come on Seiya, talk to her said the green-haired boy while lightly hitting his sister's arm. Seiya. But if he hasn't paid attention to me she said nervously what if he doesn't like me she said sadly. Midoriya. Well we'll never know if you don't talk to him he said smiling. Seiya. Why you're right forming a determined look I'll do it, I'll talk to him she said while clenching her fist. Midoriya. That's my sister he said happily. Seiya. But it will be at lunch she said making Izuku get a drop of sweat on his forehead. So the days passed, Seiya was able to talk and spend time with Kirishima, Astana still felt annoyed when Kendo and Izuku ate together at lunch, Kendo also felt jealous when Uraraka approached Midoriya, and the green-haired boy felt something every time love, but the real question is, was it for Kendo or Uraraka? Season 1 Chapter 6. Did I fall in love? Saturday had already arrived, Izuku went to have breakfast and shower, and then get ready to go find Ichako for his date, Izuku said goodbye to his sister and his mother, but something stops him. Seiya. Izuku, where are you going? She asked before he left. Izuku. I'm going on a date with Uraraka he said carefree. Seiya. What? She said to drag him to the living room tell me Izuku, are you dumb or stupid? She asked angrily. Izuku. And why are you angry? He asked, watching the girl frown. Seiya. Why am I angry? You ask she said while hitting the green-haired boy on the head. You're dating the girl who rejected you 5 times she said, and then looked at Izuku. Izuku. Well she asked me he said while looking at his sister. Seiya. Really? Surprised and a little calm well good luck I guess. She said as she left Izuku. Izuku. Thank you showing a smile. Seiya. What are you up to, Ichako? She thought as she walked to her room I hope you don't get hurt again, Izuku. Izuku headed home and decided to knock on the door, and there came Uraraka, she was well dressed, she was beautiful, Izuku deep down still loved her, but he felt like she was still hurting. Izuku decided to go to an aquatic museum and Uraraka felt little by little more attracted to Izuku and she felt something inside her had she fallen in love with him. Izuku. Wow look at that he pointed at a fossil of a very old marine animal. Uraraka. That animal would look scary if it were still alive she said a little scared. Izuku. Yes, sure he said looking at the fossil. Uraraka. And tell me, Izuku, do you like Itsuka Kendo? She asked a little worried. Izuku. I don't like it. Why do you say that? He said nervously and blushing now that I think about it, she never called me Izuku how strange he thought while looking at the brunette who smiled. Uraraka. No, it's just that I saw them very close together and stuff she explained with a smile. Izuku. Come on, let's keep walking saying to change the subject. And so for a good while of laughter and talking about trivial things they decide to leave the museum, then go to eat at a small stand that was near a park, where they each ordered an order of takoyaki, while they walked through the place while they talked, then go to the station, Izuku accompanies Uraraka to her house, and realizes that it has already gotten very dark. Uraraka. Hey, it's gotten pretty late, hasn't it? Why if you want, you can stay the night here, she stood nervously in front of his door. Izuku. Huh. Well you're somewhat right, if it's something at night, well if you don't mind I'll stay here tonight, let me tell my mom taking out his phone. Uraraka. Okay as she opened the door and entered. Midoriya. Come on, answer he said a little worried until they answered what boo he didn't finish speaking, because he heard a scream from his phone. Midoriya Izuku. Can we know where the hell are you? Shouted a very annoyed, very angry, female voice. Midoriya. Seiya scared by the scream. Seiya. Answer Izuku, where are you? Mom is very worried. She said angrily. Midoriya. That's what he calls he said while sighing, I know it's late. Seiya. Okay a little calmer where are you? She asked again. Midoriya. This is in Uraraka's house, he said nervously, but nothing was heard on the other side of the phone. This is Seiya, he said scared. Seiya. We'll talk tomorrow when you're here, Izuku, she said seriously and then hung up. Midoriya. I'm dead, he said, putting away his phone. Tomorrow I'll have to buy a lot of ice and some bandages tomorrow, he thought as he entered the chestnut's house. Uraraka. Midoriya, are you okay? She asked worriedly. Midoriya. This one, don't worry, he smiled. Uraraka. Do you want something to drink? She asked as she walked to the kitchen. Midoriya. A coffee, if it's not too much trouble, he said, embarrassed, looking at the brunette. After that, the chestnut arrived with 2 cups of coffee and some cookies, while they talked and watched movies until it was 12 o'clock at night. Note. Uraraka's parents are not there, they are traveling for work, so she's home alone. Paper 7W7. Izuku. Well, if you want I'll sleep on the couch, he said as he settled down on it. Uraraka. Okay, she said as she walked to her room and came out with some blankets and a pillow here, so you don't get cold. Midoriya. Thank you very much, Uraraka, you are very kind, she said with a smile, blushing the mochi lover. Uraraka. And you don't have to thank me, she said, placing the things on the living room table. After all, you are my guest, aren't you, she said with a smile. Midoriya. You're right, he laughed nervously. Well, good night, Uraraka, he said with a smile. Uraraka. Good night to you too, Midoriya, she smiled as she entered her room. Izuku felt very nervous since he had never slept at a girl's house until he fell asleep. It was already dawn, and Uraraka woke up because she wanted to go to the bathroom once she left on the way back, but she saw Izuku asleep. He seemed tender and caressed his hair and gave him a kiss on the cheek and then went to sleep. Uraraka. It seems like I fell in love, she said while looking at the ceiling, but do I really deserve it? She asked herself with a sad look. After all, I rejected him 5 times, and in a cruel way. While a tear escaped her, I am the worst, but she said to put on a determined look. I will do everything so that he and I are together. I don't care what they think of me, she said, clenching her fist. Izuku and I will be together forever. Season 1 Chapter 7. Rumors. When dawn broke, the 2 boys had woken up. Hachiko was getting dressed. Izuku had already called Uraraka to go down to eat, and they stayed talking about trivial things for a while. Izuku then got ready to go home, but something inside him felt scared. How would his mother and sister receive him? Shortly after, Izuku arrives home and Inko Seiya. Midoriya. Izuku. They both shouted in unison. Midoriya. I think this is where my life ends, he thought to himself. Inko. May I know why you didn't come yesterday? Shouting at the green-haired boy. Midoriya. It's just that it was already late when I took Hachiko home, saying a little embarrassed, and I stayed at her house. Seiya. That's no excuse, you're grounded. The green-haired boy's sister exclaimed. Midoriya. But you can't punish me, saying confused. Inko. But I do. Shouting, causing the green-haired boy to get scared. Midoriya. Did I have to say it, right? He says, cursing himself internally. Well, I'll go to my room. Seiya. Have you had breakfast yet? She asked a little calmer. Midoriya. Weren't you mad at me? He asked confused. Seiya. I'm the one asking the questions here. She shouted angrily, making the green-haired boy jump in fright. Midoriya. Why yes, I ate. I'll go to my room. Saying scared and then going up to his room. Seiya. You better be Izuku. I shouted when I saw him running. Izuku's room. Izuku was in his room scared and thoughtful. He remembered everything that happened this week and was remembering the dates he had with Itsuka and Hachiko. He sighed in frustration. After meditating a little, he finally decided. Midoriya. I think I've made my decision. With a smile, I'll stay with, but he didn't finish when he was called again. Damn, now the flip-flop will come. The next day. In class 2 there was a group of girls talking about trivial topics until a hairy girl brought up a special topic. Mina. Girls, you already know about the current gossip, I commented with emotion. Jiro. What gossip? He asked, looking at the pink-haired girl. Mina. You really don't know? She asked indignantly. Not even you, Toru, she said, looking at the girl. Toru. Sorry, bowing his head. Now I don't know anything. Mina. Well, it doesn't matter, I'll tell you. While she settled into her seat, it is said that Midoriya and Kendo are already a couple, she said, making the others surprised. Momo. It was logical, she said, drawing the attention of the others. They had become very close since we entered class, it was just a matter of time. Mina, but that's not all. She shouted, drawing everyone's attention. Jiro. Lower your voice, Mina, he scolded the girl. Mina. Sorry, I got emotional, sorry. Toru. Then there's more, she said excitedly. Mina. Yes, but this will surprise you, she said almost in a whisper. It is said that Midoriya is secretly dating no less than Uraraka, she said to the girls, who were very surprised by the information. The girls couldn't believe what they heard. The girl who rejected the same boy more than 3 times now goes out in secret. The girls were going to say something, but stopped when they saw two green-haired guys walk through the door. Midoriya. Good morning, but he didn't finish as he was dragged to a specific place. Hey, what's up, guys? He asked, confused, looking at his classmates. Bakugo. Wow Deku, you're a real man now, patting him on the back. Vegeta Kaminari. You are a god, swing him at the same time. Vegeta. I hope that doesn't affect your performance. Midoriya moving his arms up and down. Vegeta Kaminari. Tell us your master secret. They shouted on their knees. Todoroki. Congratulations. Midoriya monotonously looking at his friend. Midoriya. What are you guys talking about? He asked, looking at everyone with a confused expression. Bakugo. What are we talking about? Looking at the green-haired boy with a smile. We are talking about your relationship with the girl from Class B, he said, surprising the green-haired boy. Midoriya. What? He said, impressed. Vegeta. What's wrong, Midoriya? He asked, looking at the freckled boy's reaction. Midoriya. Where did you hear that? He asked nervously. Todoroki. It's what is talked about in almost the entire school, he said, seriously looking at the green-haired boy. Hiroshima. That's true. Midoriya approaching the group, but there's also something else, he said, looking at the green-haired boy. It said that he also knows, but he ended when he heard a scream. Midoriya. Izuku. The scream of an angry girl was heard. Midoriya. Damn, he said, scared, turning around little by little. Tsutsui, what's happening? He asked, looking at his angry sister. Sai. Can you tell me why the hell you have a relationship with Kendo and secretly date Chako? She asked angrily, looking at her brother, who hid behind the reed. Midoriya. Please, Kirishima, he said, scared. Calm her, he said, pointing at the green-haired girl. Kirishima. Please calm down, Sayu, he said, showing a smile. Maybe Midoriya has a reasonable explanation. Sayu. It's okay, Kirishima, she said calmly and blushing. Midoriya. It's impossible to calm the beast. He thought, impressed. Well, that's not very true. I'm not Kendo's boyfriend, I only go out with her, he said, looking at Sayu. And what happened with Uraraka is the same, and you already know it, he said, pointing at his sister. Sayu. True, I had forgotten she said while laughing a little. On the other side of the school. Uraraka. Well, Chako, today you will tell him what you feel, she said, blushing as she walked towards her classroom. If he rejects me, it doesn't matter, I won't give up, she said, determined. Once Uraraka entered her classroom without realizing something important. Wait, we're in public, someone can see us, said a female voice. Does that even matter? I asked while kissing her. But I don't want Izuku to realize this, he said while separating a little. And that, he said while kissing her a little, he will never realize anything. Season 1 Chapter 8. I don't feel anything for you anymore. But I love Izuku, she said, breaking the kiss. But you love me, isn't that right, Kendo, he said while looking into her eyes. Kendo. Yes, I love you. To kiss quickly, but we have classes, so adjusting her hair we have to go, starting to walk together with her companion. Class hall. The classes were going as usual, tedious and boring, but there was one person who wasn't paying attention because she was very nervous about what she would do. Uraraka. I'm determined to tell him how I feel, she thought, blushing, but what if he rejects me, would that be the right thing to do, she thought, discouraged. It's very understandable. I rejected him many times for being an idiot and never realizing what I truly felt for him, looking surreptitiously at Izuku. Although I think he has a thing for Kendo, she sighed, looking at her notebook. Maybe he and Kendo make a better couple than him and me. While looking at the blackboard, she has never made him suffer as much as me, and she never would, leaning her head on the desk. But anyway, I'll tell him how I feel for him. Izawa. Well, that's all. Closing his notebook. You can go eat now, he said to leave the classroom. Uraraka. Well, this could be my chance, she thought, watching as Izuku left the classroom. Midoriya. Can we? But she didn't finish when she was interrupted by a voice. Kendo. Izuku. He shouted as he approached him. Shall we have lunch together? He asked, taking the green-haired boy's arm. Midoriya. I think it's fine, Itsuka, showing a smile. Kendo. Okay, then let's go. Walking with the freckled man to the dining room. Uraraka. I'll never be able to tell him how I feel like this, she said, discouraged, watching him leave. It doesn't matter, I'll tell him on the way out. What would you say at the exit, Chako? Asked a female voice behind the brunette. Uraraka. Sayu. She shouted in surprise, looking at the green-haired girl. You scared me, she said agitatedly. Sayu. Sorry, Chako, she apologized, but what will you say at the exit, Chako? She asked, looking at her with curiosity. Uraraka. I don't know if I should tell you, Sayu, she said, looking at the ground. Sayu. You know you can tell me anything, Chako, placing her hand on her shoulder. Come on, tell me, can you trust me, showing a smile. Uraraka. Fine, I'll tell you, she said and then sighed, but first we have to sit down, walking to a bench with Sayu. Well, what I want to say is, she said while getting nervous. Sayu. What's up, Chako? Don't do it out of excitement, she said, looking at the brunette. Uraraka. Sorry, she apologized while scratching her neck. Well, here I go. I want to tell your brother that I like him, she said, closing her eyes. There was only silence, which was too tense for Uraraka. She felt that her friend Seiya was quite upset with her, so she slowly opened her eyes to see the green-haired girl. Uraraka. This too, but it didn't end when she was hugged by the green-haired girl. Seiya. That's good, she said, hugging the brunette. Uraraka. Huh? Confused, looking at her friend. You're not upset, she said, watching as Seiya separated from the hug. Seiya. Of course not, she said with a smile. Well, just a little, but I'm happy that you finally realized your feelings, she said, looking at Uraraka. Uraraka. How? I asked, confused. Seiya. I always knew you liked my brother, she said, looking at Uraraka. But you were always very hard on him, and you never knew what those feelings were, she said, making the brunette surprised. I noticed when you would stare at him during class and get angry when he was talking to a girl, but you never noticed until now. Uraraka. But I don't think it's right for me to tell him what I feel, she said, looking at the ground. He must be very hurt by me. Seiya. You know, Ochako, she said, getting Uraraka's attention. I told Izuku to be with Itsuka, so he would forget you, she said, surprising the brunette. I said it because I was very upset with you, and I wanted my brother to be happy, she said, to see the Machi lover, but I would like you to try to be with him, she smiled, looking at her friend. Uraraka. Thank you, Seiya, happily hugging her friend. Filled after. It was already time to leave, and the little brunette was quite nervous. The teacher had already finished the classes, and this was the moment of truth, walking slowly towards the green-haired boy who was putting his things in his backpack. Uraraka. Me, Midoriya, can I talk to you, she said, nervously, looking at Izuku. Midoriya. Of course, Uraraka, just finish putting it away. He smiled, looking at the brunette. Once he finished putting away his things, the two began to leave the classroom, and the school fell silent under the watchful eye of an orange-haired girl. Kendo. Damn, watching as Izuku left all to entertain me with Tetsu, she said, annoyed. But the chestnut and the green-haired guy. These two were walking in silence near a small park. It was a pleasant silence, but the freckled boy decided to break the silence. Midoriya. What did you want to tell me, Uraraka? He asked, making the brunette blush. Uraraka. Come on, Ochako, tell him. It's like you say, nothing ventured, nothing gained, she thought, blushing. Well, what I wanted to tell you is stopping her walk, so Izuku would do the same. What I want to tell you is that I'm in love with you, she said, making Izuku freeze in shock. I know that maybe I don't deserve your love, but I would like you to tell me that you do, looking at the floor, but I hurt you a lot, and I want you to know that I love you, Izuku, looking into his eyes with a big blush. Midoriya. This is I'm nervous. What do I say? What do I say? Nervous, looking at the brunette. Sorry, Uraraka, even if I still love you, this is for the best, he thought, looking at Uraraka. Sorry, Uraraka, but I don't feel the same for you anymore, he said, sadly, looking at the brunette who just hung her head. I already have someone else, so I'm sorry, she said, embarrassed. Sorry, Uraraka, but it's the best for both of us, and more for me, he thought sadly. Uraraka. And no, it doesn't matter, Midoriya, she said, looking at the green-haired boy with a smile. I already knew you would say that, so you have my support, she said, making the green-haired boy feel bad. I think I'm going walking quickly, leaving Izuku behind. Midoriya. Even though I still love you with all my heart, looking where the girl went, I have to get you out of my heart to be with Itsuka, he said, looking at the floor. That is the best for both of us. Season 1, Chapter 9. I won't give up. Uraraka walked as fast as she could while tears ran down her cheeks. Once she got home, she went to her room to throw herself on her bed to cry a little louder. She felt sad and angry, but at the same time she felt foolish and stupid for having said her feelings to the person she despised for a long time. Uraraka. I'm stupid, they said between sobs. I already knew the answer, she said, while hugging her pillow. He loves Kendo. How could I have been so naive, she said while sinking her pillow into the pillow. No. She shouted while wiping the tears from her eyes. I can't give up, he never did it to me, and I won't, she said determinedly. I will conquer him, I will beat him at Kendo and Midoriya, and I will be happy together, she said, raising her fist high. Time skip. 1 month later. It's been a month since Izuku rejected Uraraka. During that time Uraraka kept her word. She's been with Izuku almost the whole time. They've gone out on dates and had lunch together. She's also been studying either at the green-haired boy's or the brunette's house. That month, Momo and Bakugo announced their relationship to everyone. It must be said that some were surprised since some believed that Momo was in love with Todoroki, but they didn't give it any more thought and congratulated them. But Seiya, she was making quite a bit of progress with Kirishima. They already had dates, ate together, or sometimes he would pick her up at her house to go to school together, but not before passing some tests that Inko made him do in order to be with his princess. Kendo was spending intimate time with Tetsu when she could. She also spent time with her sweet Izuku, but she felt annoyed when she saw how the brunette was getting too close to the green-haired boy, so she would do something so that she wouldn't get closer to him anymore. As for Izuku, he felt really bad. Every time he fell in love with Uraraka, he couldn't stop thinking about her. She was always on his mind day and night, but he had to ignore that feeling, since it was best to be with Kendo. Seiya. Izuku touching her brother's shoulder. What's wrong? She asked worriedly. Midoriya. I have nothing Seiya, he said looking at her with a smile. Why do you ask? Looking at his sister who sat next to him. Seiya. You know, Izuku looking at him seriously. You never knew how to lie, she said, seeing how he lowered his head. Now answer, what's wrong? She asked again. Midoriya. You know, Seiya looking a little sad. I don't know what to do, he said sighing. Seiya. What do you mean? I asked intrigued. Midoriya. I don't know what I want, bringing his hands to his face. I still love Uraraka, but I also want Kendo, he said sighing. I don't know what to choose, the girl of my dreams or the one who was always with me, he said to see his sister. What do I do, Seiya? He asked looking at a shadowed green-haired girl. Seiya. I don't know how to help you, Izuku looking sadly at his brother. I'll just tell you to follow your heart and choose what you're sure will make you happy. He smiled and then stood up. Let's go eat now since mom isn't here. It's my turn to cook. Walking out of the living room. Midoriya. I think I know what to do, he thought with a smile. Thanks, Seiya, getting up from the sofa. Wait, let me help you, walking towards the kitchen. The next day. The brunette was walking to school with a big smile. She knew that during the time that passed she had made some points with Izuku, and today would be the day she would try again. Today, she would tell him if he wanted to be her boyfriend. She felt nervous and anxious. She had prepared a lot for that moment. Uraraka, well, today I'll tell him again if he wants to be with me, she thought blushing. Even if he rejects me again, I won't give up. I'll try again and again and again with a look of determination. Izuku, today you will be my no. But her thoughts were interrupted by an orange-haired girl. Kendo. Oh, Uraraka, how are you? Walking towards her with a smile. Uraraka. Hello, Kendo, I'm fine, I smiled looking at the girl. Kendo. Uraraka calling her attention. Can I tell you something? She asked looking at the brunette. Uraraka. Sure, tell me, she said with a big smile. Kendo. Stay away from Izuku, he said in a serious voice, surprising Uraraka. Uraraka. What? I asked, surprised by the attitude. Kendo. As you heard, stay away from Izuku. He's mine, placing himself in front of the chubby cheeks. You lost your chance a long time ago. He wants to be happy, and I'll take care of that. So looking at the brunette angrily, stay away from him by good means, or you'll force me to do it by bad means. Uraraka. Maybe you're right, Kendo, she said, making Carrot Head smile. I made him feel bad for a long time, but you know what? She said, looking up and seriously. I'm sure I can make him happier than you, so, she said, passing by her. Get out of my way because I'll be the one to make Izuku happy. She walked towards the entrance. Kendo. Damn you, Uraraka looking at her angrily, but I won't let myself be beaten so easily, she said as she entered. Today, I'll tell Izuku to be my boyfriend before you do. Season 1 Chapter 10. This is the best season finale. Uraraka walked through the halls very upset by what Kendo had said before. She would not leave Izuku's side. She was willing to fight with anyone to keep his love, and they would not give up so easily. Uraraka, it's decided today, I'll tell him, she thought with determination. I won't pay attention to Kendo's words while clenching her fists. No matter what happens, Izuku and I will be happy together. While entering her classroom. With Kendo. She was very angry with the brunette. How dare she say that she would make him happier than her? She was clenching her fists with great rage. No one would take Izuku away from her, so she was determined to do it today before the brunette. Itsuka, a male voice was heard from the orange-haired girl. Kendo. Tetsu happily hugging the silver-haired boy. I missed you so much, giving him a kiss which was reciprocated. Tetsu. Why are you angry? He asked, grabbing the girl by the waist. Kendo. Because that damn Uraraka wants to be with Izuku, he said frowning. Tetsu. So, he said, separating from her. Why are you with me? He asked frowning. Kendo. That's easy. While approaching him, I only love Izuku, but I love you. With you I would do many things that Izuku wouldn't be capable of, he said while kissing the boy's cheek. Tetsu. I'm like your toy that you can let off steam with, he said, offended just for that. Kendo. No, he answered quickly. I got tired of waiting for Izuku, and you're the only one I want to be with, he said, passing his arms behind the nape of the plant hair. Tetsu. So why are you holding on to him so much? He asked, watching as Kendo rolled his eyes. Kendo. That's easy, he said, showing a small smile. It's so that he and Uraraka will never be together, smiling. Tetsu. You are really bad, aren't you? He said and then kissed her. Feeling after. We met in the classroom of Class A where Izawa was giving the math class. As always, some of them didn't give a damn about the class, like me, and they were doing other things, among them the brunette who was imagining each scenario, way of declaring herself and possible answers. The green-haired girl could tell her she was really very nervous and she felt a lot of pressure and more because of Kendo. She was already getting the idea that the orange-haired girl would also declare her love today. The bad thing was that she didn't know when she would do it. Izawa. Well brats, he said, getting the attention of his students, you know that you annoy me a lot and I would be very happy if you left me alone, looking at everyone tired, so go eat and then leave the classroom. Enki. Sighing, Mama Caterpillar always so affectionate with us, he said, watching as Izawa left. Uraraka. Well, this is my chance, she thought as she got up from her desk. I have to tell him before Kendo walking out of the classroom. The chubby-cheeked girl looked for the green-haired boy everywhere. She felt very pressured to find him. She felt that if she kept looking she would see something that would break her heart. Ignoring him, she continued until she reached the back of the school and saw him standing there. But the bad thing was that he wasn't alone. He had arrived late. He was with Kendo, who could be seen blushing and nervous. The brunette was frustrated and wanted to cry. She had arrived too late. Midoriya. Well, Itsuka, why did you want to come here? He asked, looking at the orange-haired girl. Aren't we going to the cafeteria? Kendo. Yes, but I have to tell you something very important, blushing while playing with her fingers. I have to tell you that you are someone very special to me. You are the first person I met when I moved as a child. We were always together, she said, looking him blushing directly into the eyes. So I would like to know if you would be my boyfriend? She asked, surprising the green-haired man. Uraraka. And no, please say no, she thought, almost on the verge of tears, as the green-haired boy looked at the orange-haired girl. Midoriya. This is I, he said, nervously turning around until he saw the brunette behind a wall looking at everything. I'm really sorry, Uraraka. I really wanted you not to see this moment, but it's too late, he thought sadly, secretly looking at Uraraka. Uraraka. Please, Izuku, don't accept her for what you want most, she thought, crying while she saw the green-haired boy blush. Kendo. So, what do you say, Izuku? Looking at him blushing, do you want to be my boyfriend? She asked again. Midoriya. Sorry Tsuyu, but it's better not to follow your heart, and sorry Uraraka, but this is the best for both of us, and you know it well, so I'm sorry, he thought sadly as he looked at Uraraka, who was already crying, while she had her hands on her chest, and he sighed and then smiled. Uraraka. Please say no, Izuku, for whatever you want, she thought as she fell to her knees. I agree to be your boyfriend, he said, cheering up the orange-haired girl, who couldn't hold it in any longer and threw herself at Izuku, stealing a kiss, all under the watchful eye of a hurt Uraraka. Season 2 Chapter 1. The beginning of the disaster. Kendo. So, what do you say, Izuku, looking at him blushing, do you want to be my boyfriend? She asked again. Midoriya. Sorry Tsuyu, but it's better not to follow your heart, and sorry Uraraka, but this is the best for both of us, and you know it well, so I'm sorry, he thought sadly as he looked at Uraraka, who was already crying while having her hands on her chest, and he sighed and then smiled. Uraraka. Please say no, Izuku, for whatever you want, she thought as she fell to her knees. Midoriya. I accept to be your boyfriend, he said, cheering up the orange-haired girl, who couldn't hold it any longer and threw herself at Izuku, stealing a kiss, all under the watchful eye of a hurt Uraraka. For Izuku, that kiss was dry, cold, and without any feeling of love. He didn't even have any intention of continuing with what Kendo gave him once Kendon separated from him with a smile and a blush present on his cheeks. Kendo. Thank you very much for being with me, Izu, showing a smile. That smile, it was completely fake in Izuku's eyes. Every time he sees it like a reaction from Kendo. There's only one thing that can define this, and that's Midoriya. How good he looks away from the place where the chestnut was and realizes that it is no longer there. How about we go eat? He asks, showing a smile. Kendo. Yes. Taking the boy's arm, let's go now, while taking him to school. During the walk, no one spoke. Izuku felt uncomfortable being next to Kendo, but maybe it was because of nerves, right? He wondered as he walked. Once they arrived at the dining room, they both ordered their respective lunches in silence. Once they finished, they headed to each other's classroom. Midoriya arrived at his classroom. Upon entering, he could see that the brunette's seat was empty, so he didn't waste any time asking his classmates if they knew about her. Midoriya. Has anyone seen Uraraka? He asked, looking at all his classmates. Momo. She left 20 minutes ago. Midoriya entering the classroom holding Bakugo's hand, right? Kitsuki looking at the blonde. Bakugo. That's true, he left without saying anything while he hugged the black-haired girl from behind. Midoriya. Thanks, walking to his seat. Sorry Ichako, but all this was necessary, right? Those were the green-haired boy's thoughts as he watched the view through the window. Classes continued normally except for Izuku, who was thinking about the brunette. He was worried about her. The boy tried to convince himself that his decision was the right one. The freckled boy was so deep in his thoughts that he didn't realize the classes had ended. Tsuyu. Izuku moving the boy to make him react. Is something wrong? She asked worriedly. Midoriya. No, don't worry, I'm fine. He showed a smile. Shall we go? He asked while putting away his things. Tsuyu. Sorry Izuku, but today I have a date with Kirishima, pointing at the red-haired man who was leaning against the door smiling. Midoriya. Ooh, calm down, it doesn't matter, he showed a smile, see you at home and have fun. Kirishima. Of course, old man showing a big smile. Sigh. Well Izuku, we're leaving, walking towards Kirishima, see you at home, she said goodbye as she left. Izuku left a few minutes later, he walked trying not to be seen by Kendo, he needed some time alone to process what happened today. Once outside, the boy walked towards the train station, taking the corresponding seat near the window and putting on his headphones. He began to remember the reactions that the brunette had the moment Kendo asked him to be her boyfriend. He remembered how she had a look of sadness, helplessness and frustration. He remembered how the girl began to shed tears and how she fell to the ground on her knees when he said yes. The boy, without knowing why, began to shed some tears when he remembered the suffering of the chubby cheeks. He felt like a real stupid and idiot for doing that, but it's too late to regret it, right? Once he arrived at the station, he got off the train and walked home, staring at the ground. He was still plagued by doubts about how the brunette was doing. He was worried about her. He didn't know how she was feeling, but he didn't dare call her either. He was a real coward. Once he got home, the boy took his keys out of his backpack and opened the door. Once he took off his shoes, he entered and walked straight to his room. When he arrived, he lay down on his bed, staring at the ceiling carefully for a while, until he let out a deep sigh. Midoriya. I don't know why, but I have a feeling, while he had a half smile on his face, that this is the worst decision I've ever made. This is my beginning of disaster. Happy New Year. And a little preview. Happy New Year, everyone. I know I don't update many of the stories you want and love to read. But this year I'll focus on finishing my fic and getting some new projects out. I also want to thank you all for your support on my fics and for following me. I truly didn't think I'd make it this far on Wattpad and become a recognized writer. I also wish you and your family the best in 2020, that it be an excellent year for everyone, and that you achieve all the goals you set for yourselves. Well, now I'll give you a sneak peek of the next chapter. There will also be a new cover for the second season of this fic. Without further ado. The rosy-cheeked brunette was devastated as she watched the green-haired boy and the orange-haired girl seal their relationship with a kiss. She couldn't take it anymore and ran out of the room, tears streaming down her cheeks. The girl arrived at her classroom under the gaze of some classmates, who looked at her with doubt and concern at seeing her in that state, but no one asked as she quickly left the classroom. The girl walked quickly through the halls while trying to stop the tears from her eyes, attracting the attention of everyone in it. The brunette left the institute while quickly walking through the garden. She did not want to be in that place anymore. She could hear the call of one of her friends, but she ignored it to leave the school. Achako walked towards the train station, sad, disappointed, devastated and angry with herself. She had wasted many opportunities with the emerald-eyed boy. She rejected him 5 times, wherein one of those they could have been a happy couple, but she ruined it in a monumental way. Once again she cried, remembering how the girl from Class B beat her, how the boy said yes to her and then kissed her in front of her. She cried some more, she felt useless. Once the train arrived, the girl with rosy cheeks got on it and taking a seat near the window, the train moved forward. Uraraka. I'm stupid, she thought as she looked out the window. I wasted so many opportunities to be with him. Tears began to run down her cheeks, and now he's with a girl from Class B, as she sighed sadly. The brunette could only cry during the journey until she reached her station, where she got off feeling very discouraged. Once she left, she walked through the streets. For some reason the brunette posed in the places where she had her dates with the green-haired man. Uraraka. I really had a great time with him, she thought, showing a sad smile. I was very foolish to realize my true feelings so late, crying while looking at the park where they had a date. The girl continued on her way while the first drops of rain appeared. The girl did not make an effort to cover herself from the rain. She was only in her thoughts, which were the moments she had with the freckled boy. Season 2 Chapter 2. Tears of a Chestnut. The rosy-cheeked brunette was devastated as she watched the green-haired boy and the orange-haired girl seal their relationship with a kiss. She couldn't take it anymore and ran out of the room, tears streaming down her cheeks. The girl arrived at her classroom under the gaze of some classmates, who looked at her with doubt and concern at seeing her in that state, but no one asked as she quickly left the classroom. The girl walked quickly through the halls while trying to stop the tears from her eyes, attracting the attention of everyone in it. The brunette left the institute while quickly walking through the garden. She did not want to be in that place anymore. She could hear the call of one of her friends, but she ignored it to leave the school. Achako walked towards the train station, sad, disappointed, devastated and angry with herself. She had wasted many opportunities with the emerald-eyed boy. She rejected him 5 times, wherein one of those they could have been a happy couple, but she ruined it in a monumental way. Once again she cried, remembering how the girl from Class B beat her, how the boy said yes to her and then kissed her in front of her. She cried some more, she felt useless. Once the train arrived, the girl with rosy cheeks got on it and taking a seat near the window, the train moved forward. Uraraka. I'm stupid, she thought as she looked out the window. I wasted so many opportunities to be with him. Tears began to run down her cheeks, and now he's with a girl from Class B, as she sighed sadly. The brunette could only cry during the journey until she reached her station where she got off feeling very discouraged. Once she left, she walked through the streets. For some reason the brunette posed in the places where she had her dates with the green-haired man. Uraraka. I really had a great time with him, she thought, showing a sad smile. I was very foolish to realize my true feelings so late, crying while looking at the park where they had a date. The girl continued on her way while the first drops of rain appeared. The girl did not make an effort to cover herself from the rain, she was only in her thoughts, which were the moments she had with the freckled boy. Achako. I lost him was what she thought while the raindrops ran down her face along with her tears. It was too late while she sighed looking at the gray sky and the raindrops hitting her face. He is happy now with Kendo, something that I will never be able to do for him. All the tears came out with more intensity from her caramel-colored eyes. I am not good enough to walk by his side, to be with him and make him happy. I am just a failure who will not be able to do anything for the boy who always showed love for me. He deserves to be happy with someone other than me. While she walked looking at the ground, the girl's tears mingled with the raindrops running down her face. The brunette continued walking slowly through the almost empty streets, which were crowded with people. Minutes passed, and the chubby-cheeked girl had arrived home. She took off her shoes and left her things on the couch. The girl slowly walked up the stairs to her room. She slowly opened the door and ran to her bed, lying face down between the sheets. The brunette girl clutched the sheets tightly while crying inconsolably, constantly repeating the same question: why did she let him go? Minutes passed and the chubby-cheeked girl was in her bed looking at the ceiling while still sobbing. The girl in question thought about all the beautiful moments she had with the green-haired boy. Her heart beat fast as she thought about every smile and gesture the boy gave her when they were together. The girl settled into her bed looking to the side of her room where she could see a stuffed animal that was given to her by the boy on one of the dates they had. The girl sighed and looked at the drops hitting her window, and showing a sad smile, she got out of her bed and looked out of it at the wet streets. Achako. I hope you can be happy with her, Izuku. While a tear ran down her right cheek. I hope Kendo makes you happy, what I can never do. While she wiped the tear and showed a sad smile. Time jump, 3 days later. Classroom 1A, UA. In the classroom, a distracted green-haired man could be seen who couldn't take his eyes off a specific spot, which belonged to the brown-haired girl who had been introducing herself since the day he and the orange-haired girl started dating. The boy sighed sadly as he thought of the brunette, remembering the last time he saw her, her tears running down her plump cheeks, how her brown eyes lost hope as the seconds passed, and how the girl ended up devastated when she saw him kiss and seal his relationship with the president of Class B. The boy was taken out of his thoughts by the sound of the bell indicating the exit. As usual, his sister went ahead while he waited for his orange-haired girlfriend. The boy waited on one of the many benches that were at the entrance of the institute. The boy sighed and then directed his gaze to the clear sky. Izuku. I hope you're okay, he thought as he closed his eyes and showed a small smile. You don't know how much I miss seeing you again, Achako. Elsewhere, Uraraka. Achako's house. In a room, the brunette was staring at the ceiling of her room, thinking about what she would do from now on. The girl got up and walked to the mirror in her room. Once in front of it, the girl looked at her reflection. Achako. Now what should I do, she said while looking at her reflection with confusion. Should I fight for it or give up? Let me know in the comments below if you guys want the next part. Also check out my other video that has been shown and left. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like and share this video. And have a fantastic day. Bye.